Starting.
Hello everyone, this is Dr. Anuradha. In this session, we are going to discuss reflections on penning paradigmatic poems. First of all, we can define what are paradigmatic poems. Paradigmatic poems are characterized by adherence to a specific verse structure such as rhyme schemes or patterns in meter. I would like to state B.R. Jording's opinion about poetry. Poetry is the echoes of life, the soul's voice, and emotional hieroglyphics. Similarly, Dave Charlin opines poetry as the highest form of human expression. On the other hand, Mason Johnson, he explains poetry to me is a complete release of my unhappiness, joys, and my inner soul whispers. Now let us discuss about the various forms of poetry. They are traditional and invented forms of poetry. I have enumerated some traditional forms of poetry and invented forms of poetry. Among them, acrostic, ballad, haiku, kyrielle sonnet, monorhyme, nonet, ode, ottava rima, palindrome, and rondel are some of the basic traditional forms. On the other hand, alliteration, the 7/5 trochee, cascade, constanza, converse, dequine, the tableau, octal, villainette, and rapt refrain are some of the interesting invented forms of poetry. Let us now discuss the poetic forms chosen for discussion in this session. They are haiku, kyrielle sonnet, and nonet. Let me now define the salient features of a traditional haiku. A haiku has 3 lines. It is also called nature or seasonal poems. A haiku is an unrhymed Japanese verse consisting of 3 unrhymed lines of 5, 7, and 5 syllables, or 17 syllables in all. It is usually written in the present tense and focuses on nature, that is, seasons. I have written one haiku entitled Echo, conforming to the rules of a traditional haiku. Let us read the poem and verify whether the poem perfectly suits to the traditional haiku. The breeze is echoing its long-lasting ambition to soothe humankind. Here we can notice that this poem is having 3 lines as per the condition of a traditional haiku. And in the first line, the breeze is echoing. So 5 syllables are here. And then in the second line, it's long lasting ambition. So here 7 syllables are here. And then in the third line, to soothe humankind, 5 syllables are here. So I hope this poem perfectly conforms to the rule of a traditional haiku. Let me now discuss the characteristic features of a kyrielle sonnet. Kyrielle sonnet, it is an interesting French form of poetry. 3 rhyming quatrain stanzas and a non-rhyming couplet will be there in a kyrielle sonnet. Each line with a kyrielle sonnet consists of only 8 syllables. It has a repeating line or phrase as a refrain usually appearing as the last line of each stanza. Common practice is to use the first and last line of the first quatrain as the ending couplet. This would also reinforce the refrain within the poem. A good rhyming scheme for a Kyrial sonnet would be AABB, CCBB, DDBB, AB, or AB, AB, CB, CB, DB, DB, AB. Here one can notice the differences of capital and small letters being used for the rhyme scheme. Capital A and B denote the repetition of the same rhyme. I have written one Kyrial sonnet entitled Time as a Top-Notch Treasure. Let me now read the poem and let us check whether the poem conforms to the rules of a Kyrial sonnet. Times our governing entity hopefully marks our destiny, the best bridle to carve one's trades, artisan of talents and taints. Time is a heaver of our being, bestows a fear of avenging, concocting credits and constraints, artisan of talents and taints. Time's an executor of dream, escalates slander or esteem, patron of wishes and complaints, artisan of talents and taints. Time's our governing entity, artisan of talents and taints. Here in this poem, one can notice the poem contains 3 rhyming quatrains and then 1 unrhymed couplet. Moreover, if we notice, the first line of the first stanza occurs as the first line in the ending couplet. Similarly, the fourth line of every stanza is the same line. Let us now see one more interesting poetic form called nonet. Nonet, it is of course self-explanatory. This poetic form contains 9 lines. The first line has 9 syllables, the second line 8 syllables, third line consists of 7 syllables, etc. until line 9 finishes with 1 syllable. It is a very interesting poetic form. It can be on any subject and rhyming is optional. I have written one more poem based on this poetic form on the topic Poor People's Perspective. Here, as I have mentioned earlier, this poem, if we notice, it consists of 9 lines. And then, if we keenly observe the first line, poor's everlasting aspiration, 9 syllables are there. Similarly, in the second line, to progress by perseverance, to has 1 syllable, progress has 2 syllable, and then by 1 syllable, perseverance has 4 syllables, altogether 8 syllables are there. Similarly, when you see the third line, expecting, 3 syllables are there. In essential, 3 syllables are there, and then writes, that word consists of only 1 syllable. So altogether 7 syllables. So it will be going on till the last line has selves, that is only 1 syllable. So this is a specialty of this poem. And if we notice the structure of the poem also, it will be different from the other poems. These are all the major characteristic features of these 3 poetic forms: haiku, Kyrial sonnet, and nonet. Like this, many poetic forms are there. We can relish the realm of poetry by reading those poetic forms in the website called www.shadowpoetry.com. Thank you for listening. Happy learning.